All right, I think I got everything configured here, but I'm gonna go with this and see what happens. Might have some dogs show up, but I'm gonna talk about something that I never really realized until recently. Um, Talking to a buddy over the phone, and he posted a video earlier this year, and listening to it really meant something to me. And the subject is mental health. Um, it wasn't until really recently that I've been able to dig into how I feel, how I act, how I think, um, and I've been able to narrow down what I struggle with my mental health, what I've done to try and get ahead of it, and where I'm at now. So, my mental health, I overthink. I have high anxiety, and this is a constant, think of it, a carousel in your mind. One thing after other, spinning, spinning, and it never stops spinning. Um, it could be real life things, it could be off the wall, made up in your mind that you think might be happening, but you don't really know. So, one little thing, one little problem that I can pick out of my mind, I have to have an answer for. So I start thinking. And when I start thinking, it just starts spiraling. And I can never stop spiraling out of control essentially until I hit rock bottom and I have nothing else to think about. And I'm just gassed. So those are two things that I struggle with. And the reason I'm doing it is essentially to raise awareness for mental health. And if someone is struggling like I am here, um, kind of ways to move forward. And what I've tried in the past 2 years, year and a half, um, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and everyone's different. So maybe things that didn't work for me will work for you. But I'll just kind of start out um, at the very beginning. Growing up, you know, I would say I was shy, I guess. Um, Junior year, I got in an accident, um, which actually made me super outgoing and just off the wall, which was awesome. And then probably around my 20s, I kind of fell back into the slump that I was in, you know, up to the baseball accident, where I was shy. Um, I was essentially emotionless. I felt all the emotions. I just couldn't show them. So, I always think about, you know, getting together with friends. I love it. That's one of the best things that can happen. People that care for you, you all get together, and it's just a good time. But no one could ever read that off me. And I think since I've been young, I train that in myself, just so I wasn't vulnerable to how I think about it on a golf course. Since I golf, is hey, I get a birdie on this hole. Don't get excited about it because there might be a bogey coming around the next corner, or a double bogey, water hazard, whatever. So, um, growing up, I think through college golf, I was always the guy that was even keel, didn't show the emotion that like I should have. I got a buddy that is just off the wall. If he gets a birdie, he's fist pumping, he's high fiving, he's doing everything that he can and just building, you know, everything up. And that's how he is. I mean, he's kind of a goofy guy, but he is one of the bubbliest persons that I know. And then you have me, just totally opposite, shy, emotionless. Social anxiety is a really big thing for me. If I walk into a party, you won't see me going around talking to anyone a whole lot. You give me, two or three drinks, and that's a different story. I could possibly become the life of the party. But the ability for me, and what I found, and this is my struggle, is I have to have some sort of substance in me to get over the fear and anxiety of breaking through the fear that I have. Um, and then, mood swings was a really big thing. If I'm happy and I'm excited, I'm talking. Um, if I'm sad or I'm stressed, I shell up. I say nothing, close my door, don't answer phone calls, um, just sit back, and I'm just thinking and thinking and thinking, how can I get through this? How can I get all these projects done? And trying to conquer the world in my head that isn't really possible, I guess. So I'm just trying to read down here. I'm trying to keep my head on the screen, but um, the next thing is, when did I realize something was wrong, and what did I do? Um, like I said earlier, it was in my 20s. Social anxiety was a big thing. Overthinking would ruin my life. Um, those are the two big ones, and I don't know. I used essentially alcohol to fill the gap with my social anxiety. So I would show up at parties, sit around, have a couple drinks, and then I'm talking to everyone that you can see. Um, and then from there, for the overthinking, it's like constantly thinking, why did this happen? Uh, what are people doing? If you call someone or you text someone, and they don't answer, what are they doing? These are constantly things that just run through my mind. So when one person might be, hey, they didn't answer, it's no big deal. For my mind, it is a jump to conclusion, and it is just totally spiraling until, I hear back from them, I get a text back, I, figure out what actually happened. And then, going to sleep was a really big issue. Still is an issue currently, which I'm hoping to get better at. But, I can go to bed at 9:30, and I'm not sleeping till 12. I just cannot shut my brain off, which is really hard. Um, and I know other people have that issue too. They just have so much going on that it's just really hard. What's coming up tomorrow? What's coming up the next day? Um, kind of back to the beginning, relationships. Um, Never really, the overthinking, anxiety, it always made me wanting more. Um, and I think that's where I really ran into a lot of problems with people is you want more, more, and more, and then when there's no more to give, where can you go from there? So it's also something that I'm working on to try and get better of, you know, this is this is what we have in our friendship, our relationship, and just dealing with like this is enough. I don't need any more. Um, and I think how I word it is like the feeling of love, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of hard to get into because there's so many depths of love, but I just have that very vague like there's sometimes you feel love by the responses you get, and then sometimes you get a different response that you weren't expecting, and then you start jumping to conclusions again. Um, and then really where this the last year and a half, 2 to year and a half, where this all again came up from was my niece actually passing away. That was what I feel was the start of a downhill spiral for me. Um, I already had a lot of built up emotions, and then hearing that just, man, I can remember exactly where I was at the exact time that my sister called. I missed it. My mom called, back to back, and I said, this is not good. Um, but yeah, picking up the phone, hearing that, and then just like zoning out, having no idea. But I couldn't show emotion. I All I could do is just sit there, which is probably a shock, deal. But some people would be crying. Some people would be, you know, I don't know, hugging each other, whatever. But I can remember the whole trip to Freeman, going to see where it happened, driving to the hospital, meeting up with my family. Everyone's in there crying, hugging each other, and I am there unable to show any sort of emotion. Um, and that's also, I guess, part of the mental health is overthinking, anxiety, emotionless. It all kind of builds into one thing. Um, so after that, I really started doing some searching online. Um, I searched YouTube. I searched Instagram, Facebook. I did in-person in counseling, and I actually did find someone on Instagram, a counselor out of Australia that I met with weekly, um, just to really dig into my past, why I can't show emotion, why I have high anxiety, like what is stemming from it, and just some mechanisms to help me work through it so I could get over that, hump and try and beat it. Doing all this for the last year and a half, it did work for a short time, um, but I constantly felt myself falling back into my old habits. It could be drinking, just to, going to parties and drinking, just to talk to people. I don't know, things like that. So, um, so I guess the question is, where am I? Where am I at right now? After a year and a half of searching, um, recently between work, home life, once again, anxiety is just overflowed my life, and it's really hard to get things done. It's a constant shutting down, being, you know, angry at people when they don't do things correctly, that I think is correctly. Maybe it's not correctly. I don't know. Constant anxiety, overthinking, so bad of overthinking that I can't eat. It's almost unheard of to some people, but I think some people can relate to this, like I do, and I hope that they can. Um, just flipping a page here, and then so that's kind of where I am right now. Is just searching. Um, it wasn't until this last week that something had to be done. Sitting at work, just so much stuff going on, and I can't even think straight. Like, um, it's crazy. It's hard to even explain the feeling that I'm going through right now with my whole life in general. Um, but what did I do? I finally went and actually saw a doctor. I woke up and I said, "This is not right. I need to do something. There's no way that I can continue going like this." Um, and I actually scheduled an appointment with a doctor. He was booked out 4 weeks. I called him. They got me in, the day of that I called, which was awesome. Um, and met with him. And this is so far out of my element to actually go to the doctor. One, and also it's so out of my element to be doing this video. But I think it's going to be really, really awesome. And I'll get into that later. Um, but I met with the doctor. I told him everything that I've been going through, how it's affecting me, in work, at home, and we actually both agreed that probably medication is the best way to go now. So Um, I did get prescribed some drug. I'm not really sure what it was. It has a really long name. Um, and where I really got discouraged is I got that it's an hour until the prescription is filled, so I'm just scrolling, Googling this medication on YouTube, on Facebook, anywhere, Google. And all I found was two reviews, honest reviews of people that are on this drug, um, and how it's changed them. And that's really what I know. I don't want to put something in my body that I have no idea what's going to happen, um, how it's going to affect me. Is it going to affect my personality? Um, so, kind of the reason that I'm doing this video is I want to create one more video that if someone is prescribed this and they want to find out what it's like, they can come and they can find me sitting downstairs in my basement, to give 3 honest reviews. I've only been in this for a couple days here, less than a week, so I'm just going to kind of go through what I've felt. The doctor actually said this might actually take 4 to 6 weeks for me to actually feel a change. So I was actually pretty discouraged when I heard that. But lucky for me, I would say within 2 days. First day there wasn't much. The second day I could definitely feel anxiety just drop, where I would be freaking out, where I'd be overthinking. It wasn't there. So a couple questions I wrote down is, do I still worry? I definitely still worry, um, but it's a different type of worrying that I have now. I feel if something does come up, I think about it, and where I would usually think about this and have it go around in my mind all the time. Um, it's almost like I think about it in my brain, and when I think about it, I would almost get sick, where it would hit my stomach and I'd feel sick. Now I think it gets to like my chest as I'm thinking about it, but it never gets any lower. So it's almost like a safety net is a really good way to put it. You have things to worry about, but you aren't going to hit rock bottom like I used to do and constantly think about it until I came up with whatever's going on. Do I still feel emotion? I do. It's only been a couple weeks. They said that the medication does affect your emotion to be able to, you know, social anxiety is one, happiness, sadness. Um, they can kind of go both ways, but I've only been on this for a couple days. So we're going to see how that works in the upcoming weeks. And hopefully it's a change for the good. And then, do I overthink? I still think, I worry. I think about things. I don't think I overthink. It's kind of like how I described the me worrying. It's not as in depth as it used to be. Um, and then, how long did it take for the medication to kind of kick in? I already said that. It definitely varies by person, is what the doctor told me. For me, lucky enough, it was 2 days until I started feeling things, and then they said full effect is like 4 weeks. So that's kind of maybe I'll do another video at that time to see how it changes from now to then. Um, but that's kind of a sum of my life the last 2 years, and actually in my 20s too. I just never really realized it till now. Um, so yeah, just kind of recap. I made this video so if people could relate to it, and they're going through the same thing that I am, to not feel ashamed of it. Um, Mental health is a real thing, and so many people suffer from it, and feel stuck and don't know what to do. And that's exactly how I was. Um, you know, you can go to the doctor. The first thing they're going to probably tell you is go to counseling. See if you can get over the hump. And there's a lot of places you can go for that. Like I said, I tried it and I just couldn't beat it. So after that, you know, doctor, I guess, would be the next thing. Um, I also know that a lot of people probably don't know this about me. So it might be a shock. Um, I know that I could possibly be judged for admitting that I do have some issues, mental health issues. And then I also might be judged for not being able to beat mental health with counseling and not actually turning to medication to try and figure out what's going on. And hopefully, in the future, going through some new courses here, hopefully, that will allow me to break through it and hopefully get off the medication. We'll see how that all goes. Um, but I thought it was really, really important, which I would never ever do this. It's just a different perspective that I have now of thinking. I guess thinking about others, not so much of how they think about me, but like almost helping others and um, and how this video could possibly help, one person. Suicides for mental health are skyrocketing right now. And how I look at this is this video makes me super vulnerable. I don't know what kind of blowback, what kind of reviews it will get, if it gets any. Who knows? Um, but, if somebody does see this video and they're going through a mental health episode and they're on the brink of suicide or hurting themselves in some way, and this helps them get out of there to go get counseling or go to see a doctor, um, you know, that is a positive. That's a win in my book. That's one person is really all I need. Even if it doesn't help one person, but people see it and they can spread awareness. That's all I'm really going for this. It's not about me and telling you about my story. It's about hoping that people see this video and can relate, know what I went through, reach out to me if they want to, email me, call me, text me, however it is, um, and just kind of go back and forth, see what they're going through, see what I did, see what worked, see what didn't. That's the very first step. And when I called my buddy today, we go on golf trips together. But I listened to his video and I called him up just out of the blue, and we sat there for 20 minutes talking about what he did or what he was going through, what he did, what I'm going through, what I'm trying to do to cope, with this until it just got so unbearable that I couldn't take it anymore. So that's the story. Any questions, let me know, but it's definitely an ongoing battle for me. Hopefully anyone that watches this, please share it so other people know that this is a real deal. There's ways to get out of it. There's ways to, beat mental health. And, last thing, if you can just support me along my journey. I might, look like I have no emotion, but there's a lot of emotions running through me all the time. So, simple text, simple call, anything like that, it actually means the world to me. That probably a lot of people don't know because I don't show that side of myself a whole lot. So that's my story. Lola was here for a little bit, but she left. So I appreciate everyone watching, sharing, liking, whatever you do. I love it. Any feedback, please let me know. I can go into it. I can describe what I'm going through even farther if needed. But I appreciate all the love and support. Thank you.